I'm Claire from Created the Ottaway. I'm an independent demonstrator for Stampin' Up in the UK. Thank you for joining me today. This week's craft along, I try and do a craft along video once a week. We are going to make one of these Christmas baubles. Look at this. Ta-da! Okay, they look really complicated. There's another one there just in the designer series paper. This one I've used very vanilla and added designer series paper to it. It just gives it a completely different look. There is also a previous video of mine to make this much bigger bauble. So if you're really into the Christmas craft making at the moment, you can go and have a look for that video as well. But I wanted something that was just a little, just enough for maybe a Ferrero Rocher or a Lindt chocolate or something like that. It's hollow inside, so you can put it inside and have a little surprise in there. I just really like it. It's really diddy, and the designer series paper that Stampin' Up have at the moment is just the most beautiful, and this shows it off to for a really good reason. So let's put those out of the way. I'll just show you the other colours really quickly. If you like the products that I use, you can shop with me at createdtheottaway.co.uk to purchase your Stampin' Up products. So I don't know if you can see that. That is the gold that I used. Actually in the flesh it looks like that. Hopefully the camera's picking up the gold glint on that. It's absolutely beautiful. It is unusually for Stampin' Up just single-sided, so you really do want to use it for the very best of your makes. But they also do a really beautiful, and it is really beautiful, navy and gold. And then there's 2 stars and 2 other very vanilla or navy patterns as well, which are equally as lovely. But it's really hard on camera to see when you work with the navy. I've got a thing about navy. I really love it. It's just a really nice effect that you give on your makes. It makes them look much more professional, I think, just because it's got a nice edge on it. So the navy ones is what I have also made, but today I'm going to show you them in the very vanilla, and that's in the mini catalogue, and it's page 15 if you've got a catalogue. If you haven't got a catalogue and you'd love one, you're in the UK, then get in touch and I can pop one in the post for you. But equally you can view it online at on Stampin' Up's website. So what do we need? So just to go through, you're just going to use a tiny piece of card. I did write it down. Let me get my directions, and then you can be looking at that while we do it. You just need a piece of card that's 17 centimetres by 10 centimetres. Now, if you're just going to do it in the designer series paper, you don't need to do anything else than just make it in the beautiful paper that you've got. There is a bit of folding, so if your paper, if you're using non-Stampin' Up paper and it's really thick, it might be trickier for you to do the folds. But the Stampin' Up paper that I've used, what was it called? Let me just check so I don't tell you it wrong. Number 5, Shining Brightly. That paper is the perfect thickness for this. So like I say, one-sided, perfect thickness, and you can see that the pattern is just repeated throughout. Don't have to do anything more, so it's a really quick make. If however you want to personalise your baubles or make them a little bit more special, I've added squares on the top of my very vanilla. I did think about stamping, but it's quite a small square, 2 centimetres by 2 centimetres I think it worked out at. There's not too many stamps. It's certainly not words that you're going to fit on there, so I just went with the gold and the designer series paper, but I think it looks lovely. So they're the sizes that you need. Lots of scoring, some burnishing and folding, but such a tiny piece of paper, so I'll let you just screenshot that and then we'll get crafting. This is one of those ones where I'm going to get really excited and go ta-da! So apologies now for that. So we need 17 centimetres by 10, so I've literally got an offcut of my very vanilla. So let's see what we're going to do. So 10, let's do 17 actually that way, because I might be able to get 2 out of this, which would be even better. So 17 centimetres, and you're going to cut that way and then turn it sideways at 10 centimetres. Oh, will I get 2 out of this piece? So there's, no, look. Oh my goodness, look, it's like a fraction too small. It's like an 1/8. Oh, I might have to chance that later and see what happens. But basically your piece of card is this small, so it's only slightly bigger than my hand, and my hand's not that big. So on the 17 centimetre side, that's going to throw me because it's in centimetres and I usually work in inches. I've put that along the top, the 17 centimetre side, and basically at every 2 centimetres we're going to score. So the first one is 2 centimetres. Now make sure you've got that cutting blade right out the way. It's enough to make you swear if you cut when you're supposed to be scoring. So 2 centimetres, and then 4 centimetres, and then 6, and then 8, and just keep doing that till you get to the end. 10, 12, 14. Now the 16 mark on the Stampin' Up cutter is a little bit tricky to see because it's right on the bend there. Now if you're finding that, just come along and just do it at 1 centimetre on this side, because your piece is 17, and that will also give you your 16. So you've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. So you can see all of those score lines there. I'll just fold them around so you can see on camera. So you end up with that piece. Now on the shorter side, you are going to score it again at every 2 centimetres. So it's going to be 2, 4, 6, and 8. Okay, so you're just turning your piece of card into 2 centimetre inch squares. What that means is if you want to upsize this, you can just double all of the sizes. So instead of doing it every 2 centimetres, you do it every 4 centimetres with a much bigger piece, and then you would end up with a bigger bauble. So that's a good top tip. Right, so we've got all of our pieces. We're going to do some cutting now and cut out some of those pieces because that just makes a tube at the moment. So let's see where we need to cut. Let me cut a piece off and then I will explain. So on the side that's got the 1 centimetre score line, you're going to cut off the 1 centimetre and the 2 centimetre piece. Okay, so you've got that piece there and that piece there, and you've just cut that off from that corner. You're going to do the same on this corner. Okay. You could fill this little treat with, well, all sorts really. There's so many different options of treats in the shops at the moment. It's amazing. Everyone has gone Christmas loopy. Okay, so you cut those 2 bits off. Now the best thing I've found to do is if you go along and just cut up the first line on every single square, like so. couple more. This is where you can speed me up if you want to. So you've got all of these little tabs, okay? So we're going to do it on the other side. So I've just turned that round and we're going to replicate it on the other side. Because this is going to be the bit that's going to fold round. Okay, keep going. So you could sit in front of the telly and do these. If you cut and scored all your paper and just had a little pile of them, perfect TV watching. Now this side you don't do at all, you just do the top and bottom. So if I spin it back round again, now what you're going to do, take those ones out, is fold in the alternate ones like that, and then you're going to cut those off. So you want this one, that's a tab, that's a tab, that's a tab, that's a tab, and you want to leave them square. Usually when we're making tabs we cut in them at an angle, but you don't want that with this. So I am just going along and cutting that off. Okay, so I've cut that one off, cut the next one off. Oh, my fingers are in the way. Sometimes it's easier to use bigger scissors, but because I'm trying to tuck it in and not cut such a big piece off, I've got my little paper snips. So if I put those back, that one's cut off, that one's cut off, that one's cut off, and that one. I hope that makes sense. I'm going to repeat it on the bottom. So if you've kept a tab on the top, you're going to keep it on the bottom. So that one gets folded in, that one does, and that one does. So you're going to cut those three off as well. So let's go ahead and do that. My cutting skills are not so great today. It's really damp and cold and wet here in the UK. In fact, we've got Storm Kieran, which we don't do well with difference of weathers. We all get a bit panicky and we come to a standstill. But yeah, so it's really cold at home and damp. And my arthritis is not great in the damp, so forgive my wonky lines. Okay, so if I put that down again, you can see we've got a weird shape really. We've got 4 tabs and we've got this extra folded bit here. Now there's something that we need to do before we go any further. So you're going to need a scoring tool and something to do a line, so a ruler, a block. So I've got an old block that I use that's got a really straight edge, and when I'm doing little projects like this I use that. And this is like an embossing tool that I've had in my stash. You know, us crafters end up with loads of different things, but this is really handy. So what I need to do is I'm going to have to do some score lines on each square, but in order to help me know where to do that, I'm going to use my trimmer. Okay. So each square is 2 centimetres, and we need to find out where 1 is, where 1 centimetre is in each one. So to do that, I'm putting my square up to the line that measures 1 centimetre. So I should be able to see 1 centimetre there and 1 centimetre there, which means that the halfway mark is my cutting blade. So all I do is just do a little dent there and do a little dent there, and that gives me the middle. Now you could do that with a pencil if you're happier doing it with a pencil, but you need some way of marking top and bottom. So I'm going to move that along to the next tab, and again I'm putting it on the 1 centimetre line there and there, which gives me halfway there, because that's 1 and 1 is 2, so I need it at 1. And I'm doing top and bottom at the same time because it just saves me time rather than turning it round and measuring. Okay, and then the very last one, putting it at 1 centimetre there, and then doing the top and the bottom, and that also means it's in the right place. So that's done. Now what I need to do on your first line of squares, so if I fold that over so you can see, you've got 3 lines of squares. Hang on, let's show you. So you've got a top, a middle and a bottom. So we're going to concentrate on this top line. So this point here where your 2 centimetre square is and the gap, you're going to go from here to that mark you've done. So I'm going to line this block that I've got, and I'm just going to rub my embossing tool along, and then I end up with that line there. So I'm going to go along and do it all the same way on the other squares, and then I'll show you. So from the point diagonally, from the corner of the square to the point. Okay, so hoping you can see that. I've got a line there from this point of corner of the square to the middle there, from the corner of the square to the middle, corner of the square to the middle, and then I'm going to go along and do it the same but the other side. So you end up with like a triangle shape. I'm just going to meet that there. All of this is worth it, and it's quite a calming activity. Craft shouldn't be stressful. If you're feeling stressed when you're crafting, then you need to go and get some air, change your scenery, go and grab a cup of tea, sit and have a biscuit, scroll on Facebook or something, and then come back to it just when you've had a bit of chill. So now if I show you, hopefully you can see there's a triangle there in each square. Okay, so you're going to flip it over and you're going to do exactly the same on the other side. So you go from the corner to the point, corner to the point, corner to the point, corner to the point, and then do it back the other way. And then you've got your little triangles, top and bottom. It will all become clear in a minute. Okay, so not sure if you can see those. You've got the triangles there and the triangles there. Now, while you've got it flat, this would be a good time to add your paper. So you need to cut, these are 2 centimetre squares, so you need some designer paper that is just under 2 centimetres, because if you put it on and it's 2 centimetres, it's just going to overhang. If it's slightly less than 2 centimetres, can you see? It fits on. And the other thing that I've done with this, because the other side of the paper is white, it will have a white edge going round, and I didn't want there to be a white edge on my cream paper, so I've just used a gold Sharpie and I've just gone along the edge of the card on all of the sides just to get rid of that whiteness. Now what it does do, because the gold is quite a strong colour, it frames the paper, which you can't tell when it's on your hand, but when you put it on there, it's like it gives it a dark outline, and it means that the designer series paper really pops off. So if I show you this one, it's just a really subtle, you can see that each square is on there, it is a square, and it's got like a nice frame around it, just adds a bit of detail. So what you would do, depending on what your pattern is, so the middle, I would, if I was doing it the same as this, I'd have all gold squares, and you literally put, not on that piece, the bit that's the 1 centimetre, but on all the others, on every single square, you're going to stick on one of your designer series paper, or gold in this case if it was the same as this, and then on the top pieces, just on that, and then everywhere that there's a square on the top and bottom row, so there and there and there, you're going to stick them on. So shall we do that? I haven't got the gold already cut but I will do the pattern paper with you. Now be careful with your Tombow glue, because you really don't want a lot of glue, because it's just going to spurt out the sides. So that's one. I'm using Tombow glue because it's got a bit of wiggle room. Oh, although because it's new, it is coming out like a fast flowing river. You see, look. I had to stand it up rather than point it down, because it is just going everywhere. So if you find that you've got a lot of glue on there, too much glue, just put the other piece on top and just use some of it for that piece. Okay, so that's that one, and that's that one. Can you see how much easier it is to stick when something's flat? And then I've got these ones for the bottom. Looks nothing like this, but oh boy, is it going to be a wow in a minute. Oh, this is like the fastest glue ever. Loads of it. Oh, nearly put it on the wrong bit. Did you see that? No mistakes in crafting, just happy accidents. That's going to go there. Two more. Let's have a look. What's good about this is you could just get away with putting one treat inside, and you can have one to gift and one for yourself. It's not too many, is it? There you go. Okay, so now what do we do? If I turn it back around this way, just so that we're working from the same side all the time. So I'm going to make it into a tube, but before I do that, I want to help my paper know where it's going to fold. So using my block again, or my bone folder, or even just your hands, I will put this block along the side of the triangle, and I'm just going to show it where I want it to go, or fold I should say, by just folding it upwards. Okay. Because at the moment it's got a score line, but it doesn't really know what I want it to do. So that goes that way, can you see? So now if I try and fold it, it's already happy to go that way. So I'm going to do that on the other way as well. Do it again here. So I'm just running my thumb along the other side just to help ease it to the place I want it to be. Now don't worry that you're folding the middle bit, it will all work out. And then do the same the other side. Just following your score lines. Okay, and then just back the other way. So I'm going to go this way. Now I've realised that I've twisted and turned this so many ways, you're probably feeling seasick. So we're going to put it flat again in a minute and I'll show you. Okay, so if we put it back to where we were, can you see that the paper's sort of curving, and you can see the diamond shapes really standing out where we've told the paper where we want it to go. Right, we're going to fold it back the other way. And what I'm going to do is put some glue on this. Be careful about how much glue comes out. Okay. And we're going to fold that round to it. And just make a tube. Okay, just like that. Just make sure it's exactly in the place you want it to be. Like that. Okay, so we're going to start with the bottom. So there is no right and wrong on this, there's no pattern. So these are going to fold in, okay? But as they fold in, can you see what's happening to these triangles? They're folding in also, where I've shown the paper where I want it to go. So just go round before you do any sticking and just make sure that they're all happy to fold in the way you want them to go, okay? So you can see already it's starting to get a bit of a shape on it. Now pick two opposite each other, move those ones out the way. On one, put some glue. Again, it's up to you how much glue, you don't need too much, it's just a bit of card. And you're going to bring it over so that it exactly matches on the top, okay? Now it may be that you need to put your fingers in there just to get it to stick initially, but you want it exactly on the top, or as near as you can get it. Okay, the Tombow glue is really quick to stick, so that's that one. Okay, then you're going to turn this one and this is going to happen the same. So we're going to stick this bit first. So that bit, just push that in, keep pushing it in until you get it to join. And do that one, that side, just like so. And just make sure it's right over, because otherwise you'll have a misshaped bauble, that the square is on top of the other square. And when you're happy with that, push that side in and just join the bottom. Oh, that is a lot of glue. Let's get rid of some of that. And that will just come over. Now while I'm doing this, I'm thinking, oh, what I could have done is put a hole in the bottom and added a tassel so it's hanging down. That would look super nice, wouldn't it? Really elegant. Okay, shall we see if it's done? Look, it's the bottom of your bauble. Look at that. How pleasing is that? Okay, so the top. Now, something different with the top. What we are going to do is make a hole in here so that we can hang it. There's a couple of different ways you can do that. You can just eyeball it and just poke your tool through. What I like to do is try and make sure that the hole is in the same place. So I get a post-it note, just like that. I cut it so it's a 2 centimetre square, because that's what the square is on the top. Oh, it's not going to go now, look. It doesn't want to stick into me rather than the 2 centimetres. Okay. Make sure you've got a nice 2 centimetre square. Okay, it's one way. And then there's the other way. You end up with a little 2 centimetre square like that. Okay. Now fold it in half, make a line, fold it in half again, make a line, and you should end up with a cross. And then put a little pencil mark in the centre, and either poke your hole through with a pokey tool, or I've got one of these old crocodile hole punches. I'm just going to make a hole in there, like that, and that gives you a template of where to put the holes in here. So if I just use that as my 2-inch square on there, and that's where my hole's got to be. So I bring my tool back in, line it up, and punch, okay? Then because it's a post-it note, I can take it off, peel it off really easy, and put it on the next one. And you just go round and do that on all of your tabs. So we do that. Okay. And you need the holes in all 4 because you want the hanger to go through all 4 of the pieces. One more to do. Nearly there. Okay. So that's all my holes. Move those out the way. Now, what you can do is just add a bit of string and job done. What I like to do is stop the string pulling all the way through. So I use a button. Being a crafter, I've got a craft room full of things, and anything I can use, I will. So I am just threading that through my button, okay, like so. So I've just threaded it through like that. I'm going to tie that in a knot, just like so. Oh, like that. And then use this side. So you can cut that off if you want. No one's going to see it, but just to make it neater. Okay, so now I've got that as my hanger. I'm going to put it through one of the holes, and the same as we did in the bottom, we're going to do the top the same. We're going to do opposites. So that's going to go like that. Move those out the way, and I'm going to stick this one on there. So there's one. I've thread it through there, and before I pull it tight, I'm just going to put a bit of glue along that edge. Okay, now that is a lot of glue again. So I've taken some off, and you can use the hanger bit as your pulley. So I am just putting that through. I've pulled it nice and tight, and I'm just making sure that the square is fully on top of where I want it to, and just waiting a moment for it to dry. Okay, and when you're happy it's dry, you go through the other side. Okay, so just make sure that's happy to come over, and you do the same on this side. So put a little bit of glue on there. Oh, pull it through and just make sure it's on top, and it's okay, it's happy, it's in the right spot that you want it in, and just wait for it to dry. And then the last one, just make sure that that's going to go where you want it to. I've got gold stuck to me. Okay, so this is the last one. That just folds through there. Put a little bit of glue. Bring it over. Okay, and that is done. Okay, so obviously I've got to put the gold pieces round of mine, but that, ta-da, is your Christmas bauble. Perfect for your tree, put in a stocking, use as a place setting, you can put somebody's name on it, all sorts of ideas for that, and you can fill it with all sorts. So there is my 3 Christmas baubles decorations. Ta-da! Thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this little craft along. If you have and you'd like to see some more, you can subscribe and click the little notification bell and join me on another crafty session. Thanks for watching. See you soon.